This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Wendy Griffith. We've got a lot to cover today, including the tragedy in Texas, the death toll now rising above 80. But we begin with a surprising development in the Middle East as 5 prominent sheiks in the West Bank city of Hebron want to pull out of the Palestinian Authority and join the Abraham Accords. That's sure to be a topic of discussion in President Trump's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House tonight. Chuck Holton brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in Washington this morning for a high-stakes White House meeting with President Donald Trump. The two are expected to discuss a possible hostage and ceasefire deal in Gaza, dealing with Iran's proxies, and expanding the Abraham Accords.
During the conversation with President Trump, I will first thank him for his very strong mobilization in favor of Israel. We've never had such a friend in the White House, and our joint mobilization has brought a great victory over our common enemy, Iran.
Over the weekend, Israel sent a team to Doha, where negotiators are working to hammer out a 60-day ceasefire and hostage exchange. President Trump says he expects a deal with Hamas this week, but Netanyahu blasted the latest terms from Hamas as unacceptable and insists any agreement must guarantee the elimination of Hamas as a military force.
There are 20 hostages that are alive, 30 dead. I am determined. We are determined to return them all. And this means one thing, the elimination of Hamas military and governmental power. Hamas will not be there in Gaza.
Hamas has lost its grip on most of Gaza, according to an anonymous official who told the BBC that 95% of its leadership is dead. At the White House, Netanyahu is also expected to ask for a green light to strike Iranian nuclear facilities if Israel detects suspicious activity. He's also expected to push the White House to support stronger action against Iran's regional proxies, including the Houthis in Yemen, who resumed attacks on Israel and shipping over the weekend. Overnight, Israel launched extensive airstrikes on Houthi-controlled ports, radar sites, and a power station in Yemen. The strikes came after the Houthis launched another missile at Israel and badly damaged a Greek cargo ship in the Red Sea Sunday. Their first successful maritime strike in over a year. But Netanyahu remains hopeful.
There's also a great opportunity to expand the circle of peace far beyond what we could have imagined before.
That circle may soon include 5 clan sheiks from Hebron, who formally asked to break away from the Palestinian Authority and join the Abraham Accords, recognizing Israel as a Jewish state. Meanwhile, in Gaza, 2 American aid workers remain hospitalized after a terrorist attack on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The men, said to be highly decorated veterans, were distributing food at a U.S.-funded humanitarian site near Han Yunis when they were hit by grenades. Trump and Netanyahu are expected to meet Monday evening, and the outcome could reshape not only Gaza, but the entire Middle East. From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Thank you, Chuck, for that report. And we have a special guest in studio today, all the way from Jerusalem, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief, Chris Mitchell. I didn't know you were coming in.
Yeah.
So I saw him, I heard him in the makeup room. I'm like, that sounds like Chris Mitchell, but he's supposed to be in Jerusalem. So it's great to have you here in Virginia Beach in studio. Right. And you're coming for a number of reasons, but one is a family reunion.
Yeah, we had a family reunion yesterday, ended Saturday up in New Hampshire. It's our 44th annual reunion, so it's always great to get together. And thankfully, I was able to leave just after the war, the 12-day war with Iran ended. And actually, many people have to go through Amman, which I did as well, you know, because many people weren't flying out of Ben Gurion. Yeah, so.
I mean, I imagine because just like you said a few days ago, they shut down the airport because of the Iranian missiles, right?
They did, yeah. It shut down for a good 2 weeks. And a lot of people couldn't get out. A lot of people wanted to get back in. So it was very difficult. But Amman was probably the most reliable place that people could get in and out of.
We have a lot to unpack today, but I'm just curious, how many people are at your family reunion?
Oh, probably about 20. Yeah.
Okay, so my husband and I hosted 20 people.
Okay.
22 to be exact. Yeah. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm like, I needed to come back to work just to rest. So, well, I'm so happy you're in the States and we're with your family and had a safe 4th. Chris, as you know, President Trump wants the war in Gaza to come to an end. How does the Israeli leadership feel about this, though?
Well, I think even the Israeli leadership is somewhat divided on it. I believe Netanyahu, he has pretty firmly said that they want to make sure that they reach the goals of the war from the very beginning of October 7th. That is, defeat Hamas militarily, make sure that it cannot rule over Gaza anymore, and release the hostages. Sometimes those goals are complementary, sometimes they're contradictory, but I would say the president of Israel may favor, let's make a deal, and let's make the priority the hostages. Many Israelis feel that way, but also many Israelis feel that it's important not to end the war prematurely. And I think that may be the tension between Netanyahu and President Trump, who would like to see the war end right away. But that if that leaves Hamas in power, that for many of the people, and especially family members that have died fighting for Gaza, that's a non-starter for them. They want to make sure Israel can finish the job.
Trump, we know Trump likes to have bragging rights. He likes to say, you know, I was able to end the war in Gaza. Right. But war does take time. Chris, has Hamas effectively been eliminated as a threat, or does Israel believe there's more to do?
Well, there's more to do, and I think they want to take over all of Gaza. They want to control the land. Several weeks ago, they began a campaign called Gideon's Chariots, which is the idea that they will take over land and control it. For many months, they had been going sort of like raids into different parts of Hamas, maybe fight them, but then withdraw, and then Hamas could come back and take over that territory. So right now, estimates are maybe 60% of Gaza is controlled by the IDF, but they want to make sure that they finish the war. You know, Wendy, many people have asked, why is it taking so long for Israel to defeat Hamas? And there's a few reasons. One of them is that they take a very cautious approach to make sure that they don't put their soldiers in unnecessary harm, and that they protect the hostages. They probably know where many of them are, and they don't want to make sure that they put any more stress on their lives.
As well as protecting Palestinian civilians.
Exactly, and what the IDF has been doing for years, they've done it in previous wars, they've done it in this war, they have gone and they've taken people, and they've said, listen, we're going to come into this area, get out of harm's way. They really prematurely give away where they're going to go, what they're going to do. Yeah. They want to protect Palestinian civilians. And the other thing is that while October 7th, they were actually fighting a seven-front war. They were fighting Hezbollah in the north. They were fighting in Gaza, but they were also fighting in different areas. And so it makes it very difficult. And we were in some of the tunnels there inside Gaza. They were not only fighting above ground urban warfare, which is very difficult, but underneath the ground as well.
Okay, are those tunnels, like, do you feel claustrophobic in them?
Well, if you're in...
You're tall, can you stand up in them?
You can stand up in some of the rooms, some of them you can't. And they're pretty elaborate. They have bathrooms, they have kitchens.
I hope they have bathrooms.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord have mercy.
Right.
Well, tribal sheiks, Chris, are talking about severing relations with the Palestinian Authority and recognizing Israel. How significant is this?
Wendy, I think this is a huge game changer. It's not as if they hadn't been feeling this way before. 7 years ago, CBN News did a story on one of the sheiks there, Jabari, who really does not like the Palestinian Authority, accuses them of being corrupt, and now he wants to break away from them and join the Abraham Accords. The game changer in this could be that Saudi Arabia is one of its elements that it would normalize relationship with Israel was a Palestinian state. This may make a big change, and if Saudi Arabia says, well, this is, at least they're having their own autonomy, this could be a game changer for the Middle East and the Abraham Accords.
And again, the Abraham Accords, that's just recognizing Israel as a sovereign state.
Right.
And doing business with them, right? That's right.
And it may include Lebanon, Syria. It could, in Saudi Arabia, the biggest one of all. But this is going to change the whole dynamics of the Middle East. And if you can realize what happened since October 7th to where we are now, it's just a sea change.
Yeah. And what do they think about this in Israel, about, you know, the Arab states coming on board?
Well, I think they'll welcome them. Now, I think there's a little bit of hesitation with Syria because it is controlled by a former quote-unquote jihadist who's now, in a suit instead of his jihadist garb. But I think many people would welcome that. The Abraham Accords with the UAE, Bahrain, and other countries has really been a game changer, and so they've welcomed them.
And let's talk about Iran again. What are we learning about the significance of the U.S. and Israeli military strikes against Iran's nuclear program?
Well, it's really set it back years. And if you realize what happened in those 12 days, Wendy, it just, for decades, literally, it had been this Damocles sword over Israel, an existential threat to them. And now within 12 days, what they've done is really miraculous. I was reading a report about one of the persons that actually oversees the F-35s and many of the aircraft that went in, and there were hardly any breakdowns. And they were flying almost constantly, 24/7 for 12 days. And he said he's never seen anything like this. And so there are miracles happening with this war with Iran and in Gaza as well.
100%. Chris, you've been over there for 20 years. You said that you had never been in a situation where there were this many missiles flying. Normally they're hitting like Tel Aviv, other parts, but they were coming right at you guys. Were you scared?
Was I scared? Well, concerned, yeah. And sometimes we didn't necessarily take the precautions that...
You're a war reporter, so of course you're not scared. And honestly, you were born for this.
That's what some people have said, yeah. And we were there in 2006, Wendy, at the Second Lebanon War. And but, when you feel called to be there, you feel God's protection.
It was the time of my life.
Yeah.
I loved it. Chris, it's great to see you.
Great to be with you, Wendy.
Our time is up. And, of course, this is, where are we now? Oh, I'm back over here. Okay, so we will be keeping in touch with you, Chris, because more is happening in the Middle East. But coming up here at home, the terrible tragedy in Texas with a death toll over 80 from flash floods, including girls at a Christian camp. We'll have that story for you when we come back. The search continues for dozens who are still missing in Texas, including 10 girls from a Christian summer camp after deadly flash floods along the Guadalupe River in Texas Hill Country happened. Some victims were in campgrounds near the banks of the river when it rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes. Incredible. Friday's flash flood started after a storm dropped almost a foot of rain. Some say it was a 100-year rain. The National Weather Service office issued an urgent flash flood warning at 1:14 a.m., but most of the campers were asleep at that time. The quickly rising Guadalupe River brought down trees and buildings, tearing through Camp Mystic, where 750 girls were spending the holiday weekend. The National Weather Service has extended the flood watch over much of south central Texas as several inches of rain are expected for the region today. Meanwhile, a team from CBN's Operation Blessing is on the ground making contacts to begin bringing assistance to victims and relief workers. President Donald Trump signing a major disaster declaration for Kern County and will visit the area later this week. If you would like to help Operation Blessing's disaster relief efforts in Texas, just go online to ob.org and find out how you can donate. Still ahead, turning now to some good news and the spread of the gospel. CBN News traveled to Brazil for a first-hand look at the revival taking place across that country. We'll bring you that story right after this. In South America, Brazil is witnessing a seismic shift in its religious landscape. The rapid spread of evangelical Christianity is reshaping the country's spiritual and social fabric. In fact, evangelicals are poised to outnumber Catholics as the largest faith group there. George Thomas has a story from Rio de Janeiro.
In the heart of Brazil, amidst the rhythmic beats of samba and the vibrant colors of carnival, something spiritually profound is unfolding.
We are on the verge of a religious change in Brazil.
Sociologist Jose Alves tells CBN News that if there's one image that symbolizes Catholicism's influence here, it's Rio de Janeiro's 98-foot-tall Christ the Redeemer. Inaugurated in 1931, the iconic statue celebrated the country's rich Catholic heritage. 94 years later, Alves says the faith's dominance is rapidly declining.
In 1950, 93% of Brazilians identified as Catholics. The church was losing about 1% of followers every decade. However, from 1991 onwards, the Catholic Church started to lose 1% of followers every year, resulting in a dramatic drop.
Evangelical Christianity, once a minority faith here, is now growing at unprecedented levels.
What you're looking at there on your screen is this beautiful blue structure known as the Cathedral of Brasilia. It is one of the largest Catholic churches here in Brazil's capital city. The surveys show that what was once the world's largest Catholic nation will by 2030 be overwhelmingly evangelical.
Signs of this growth are everywhere. Megachurches dotting the landscape, filled with thousands of worshipers each week. From Andrea Fernandez's church in Sao Paulo,
we are living in the fulfillment of a promise. For many decades, we have heard that Brazil would experience a wave of revival that would be exported around the world. And I believe that this is what we are experiencing at this moment.
To Lurival Pereira's congregation in the Amazon region, boasting more than 10,000 members across some 600 cell groups.
The foundation of our growth is these cells. The real revival is taking place outside the church walls. Every day, people are meeting in small groups in homes. It's the biblical model.
To J.B. Carvalho's church in the capital city of Brasilia.
We started the church in 2003 with only 25 people. Today, we have about 12,000 people in Brasilia alone. We also have another 15,000 people in Fortaleza. Our churches are spread throughout Brazil.
To Silas Malafais's church in Rio de Janeiro, one of the largest and most influential Pentecostal churches in Brazil, with more than 100,000 members.
In the next 7 years or so, we will be the majority in the country. Today, we make up about 35% of the population, and God's kingdom has influence in every corner of Brazilian society.
Marcelo Crivella, a well-known evangelical pastor turned politician, once served as mayor of Rio de Janeiro. He says that years ago, evangelical Christians hesitated to get involved in politics, but that's no longer the case. More than 30% of the country's legislators are now evangelical.
We are more than 140 deputies and more than 20 senators.
Many of them gather each Wednesday in the halls of Brazil's Congress for worship and prayer. The country's first evangelical church opened in 1922. By 1990, that number had grown to more than 7,000 congregations. Nearly 30 years later, it grew to over 109,000. The growth so staggering that one study found 70 new evangelical churches opening every day across Brazil.
Now in Brazil, 550,000 churches.
As Anete Rodriguez says, this dramatic transformation began, as in many great movements, with the most profound of practices, prayer.
I've always believed that prayer is like planting. You plant, 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 and at some point it will sprout, and then the explosion will come.
Those who have been tracking the explosive growth of the evangelical movement here in Brazil say worship has played a monumental role in the church's growth. And one Christian artist, above all, has been at the center of it all.
Her name is Ana Paula Valadão.
Even growing up, I had glimpses of crowds, of multitudes worshiping the Lord.
From the late 1990s to the early 2000s, her group's music became synonymous with a powerful worship movement that emphasized intimacy with God, passionate worship, and personal revival.
As I was songwriting, the Lord always made me very intentional. And the whole idea was about transformation, was about changing the nations.
She held concerts in strategic locations, drawing millions of people, many of whom were Catholics.
Like the carnival site in Rio de Janeiro, and we filled every soccer stadium in this nation. Jesus broke every record, gathering more people than any soccer tournament.
Because of her songs, many Catholic services in Brazil today, like one CBN News attended in Sao Paulo, have embraced a more evangelistic style of worship, shifting away from traditional liturgies to incorporate contemporary music. Father Antonio Luis Ferreira, who leads the Cathedral of São Sebastião in Rio de Janeiro, says the change is part of an effort to encourage former Catholics to come home.
People are attracted to environments where worship celebrations and moments of prayer are done in a more charismatic way. Today, a growing number of Catholics are returning precisely because prayer meetings are conducted in a more Pentecostal style.
Still, for Brazil's Catholic majority, the question is no longer whether they will lose their dominance, but how quickly. The answer? Probably faster than anyone ever expected. George Thomas, CBN News, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
So blessed you got to go there. I'm jealous. Well, we'll be right back with more. Stay tuned.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today. The CBN News App, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today.
And that is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen today. Email us at newswatch@cbn.com or reach out on Facebook, Instagram, or X. We hope you'll join us next time. Until then, have a great day and God bless you.